Let me tell y'all something right now, ladies. When he comes back after hurting you, oh, he will, because they always do, you better be ready, but not the kind of ready you think. See, when a man walks away, breaks your heart, and then shows up at your door like he just went out to get milk, that ain't love. That's convenience. When someone who hurt you tries to come back into your life, the first and most important thing you have to remember is this: don't get amnesia. And I don't mean the kind that makes you forget where your keys are or what you walked into the room for. I'm talking about emotional amnesia, the kind that makes you forget everything you went through when they walked away, when they broke your heart, when you were left picking up the pieces by yourself. See, pain has this funny way of fading when time passes. It doesn't always leave quietly. It lingers, but it becomes more bearable, and when someone reappears, smiling, saying all the right things, promising they've changed, your mind starts playing tricks on you. You remember the good times, the laughs, the way they used to hold you, the way they looked at you. You start wondering if maybe, just maybe, it could work this time. But let me tell you something straight. That's not love talking. That's loneliness. That's nostalgia. That's your heart playing defense because it's scared to be disappointed again. But you can't let your heart forget what your mind knows. You cried. You questioned yourself. You felt like you weren't enough. You lost sleep. You blamed yourself. You tried to fix what you didn't break. That wasn't a phase. That was real. And that version of you deserves your loyalty more than the man who walked out. She, the woman who suffered, survived, healed, deserves your protection now. When he comes back, it's easy to want to believe he means well, and maybe he does. Maybe he really is sorry, but sorry doesn't undo damage. It doesn't unbreak what was broken. An apology is not a time machine. Don't let soft words erase hard truths. Don't let charm cancel out chaos, because if you forget the pain, you risk reliving it, and you didn't go through all that just to end up right back where you started. You see, people like to return when they think you've forgotten how bad it was. They count on your kindness. They count on your softness. They count on your heart being bigger than your memory. But don't let it be. Don't get so caught up in what could be that you forget what actually was. And I know what you might be thinking. What if he's changed? What if this time is different? And listen, people can change, but not everyone does. And even if he has changed, that doesn't automatically mean he deserves another chance. Growth doesn't come with entitlement. He doesn't get a backstage pass to your life just because he finally decided to show up. You've done the work. You've cried your tears, had your sleepless nights, and rebuilt yourself from the ground up. That wasn't easy. That cost you something. Your healing is sacred, and it should not be compromised by the same person who once shattered you. So when he comes knocking, stand in your truth, stand in your memory, stand in your worth. Don't be rude, don't be bitter, just be clear. You're not the same woman who cried over him. You're not the same person who once begged to be chosen. You're not available for anything that costs you your peace. Remember what it took to get here. And don't forget it just because he finally realized what he lost. Don't get amnesia. You earned this version of you. Protect her. Just because someone misses you doesn't mean they've changed. That's something you've got to tattoo on your heart. Missing someone is a feeling. It comes and goes. But change, real change, that's a process. It's discipline. It's painful. It's intentional. It doesn't happen overnight, and it sure doesn't happen just because somebody got lonely. When a man hurts you, walks away, or treats you like you were disposable, and then months later he shows up saying, "I miss you," don't let that phrase carry more weight than it should. He might miss the comfort, the way you loved him, the way you showed up for him even when he didn't deserve it. He might miss the version of himself that he could be around you. But that doesn't mean he's grown into someone who's ready to truly value you. A lot of people don't miss you, they miss access to you. They miss the benefits, the support, the unconditional love, the consistency. But here's the thing, if he really changed, he wouldn't just say he misses you, he'd show you he's different. And not for a week. Not with some grand romantic gesture. No, change shows up in patterns, not performances. You have to look past the words and pay attention to the behavior. Is he taking responsibility without blaming you? Is he holding himself accountable? Has he dealt with the reasons he hurt you in the first place? Or is he just trying to fast forward past the part where he lost you? Too many people mistake missing you for growth. It feels good to hear, "I miss you." It triggers those memories, that comfort, that hope that maybe he's finally realized your worth. But here's what you have to ask yourself. Does he miss you enough to change who he was? Or does he miss you enough to try to convince you that nothing has to change? That's the trap right there. A man who truly changes doesn't just apologize, he adjusts. He doesn't try to get back in your life without doing the work. He doesn't come back expecting a clean slate when he never cleaned up the mess he left. Real change is about action, not attachment. It's about growth, not guilt. Let's break it down like this. If a man misses you, but he hasn't reflected on what caused the breakup, if he hasn't addressed the selfishness, the disrespect, or the emotional immaturity, then what's he really offering you? The same pain in a different package, and you didn't go through all that healing to settle for a rerun. Look, missing someone is human. People miss people all the time. It doesn't make them villains. But it also doesn't automatically make them worthy of a second chance. That's where your discernment has to come in. You have to separate emotion from evidence. Just because you feel the connection doesn't mean the relationship is healthy. Don't let a man back into your life because he says he's sorry in a poetic way. Don't confuse a moment of longing with a lifetime of commitment. You deserve someone who has grown enough to protect your heart, not someone who wants to rent it every time he feels lonely. So, when he comes back and says, "I miss you," let that be information, not a decision. You listen, you observe, and most importantly, you ask yourself, has he changed, or has he just remembered what he lost? Because at the end of the day, love is not about being missed. It's about being respected. It's about being valued, and you deserve nothing less than that. Your peace is not a luxury. It's a necessity. It's not something you should ever bargain with, especially not for someone who once disrupted it. When someone who hurt you tries to come back, you have to ask yourself, what's the cost of letting them in again? Because if it costs you your peace, your healing, your sanity, then it's too expensive, period. See, peace doesn't just show up. You have to fight for it. You earn it by walking away from what no longer serves you. You create it by setting boundaries, choosing yourself, and refusing to settle for anything that feels like chaos. And once you've fought that hard for something, you can't give it up lightly, not for a smile. Not for sweet talk, not for memories. It's easy to forget how valuable peace is until it's gone. Think back to the version of you who cried herself to sleep, the one who doubted her worth, the one who was constantly anxious, overthinking every word, wondering if she was too much or not enough. That version of you didn't have peace. She was surviving, not thriving. Now look at who you are today, or who you're becoming. You're healing, you're growing, you're learning to trust yourself again. You've built something sacred within, calm. Stability, confidence, that didn't happen overnight, and it didn't come without pain. So the last thing you need is to invite someone back into your life who disrupted all that before, just because they say the right things now. When someone who hurt you comes back, you have to view them through the lens of your peace, not your past. Ask yourself, do they bring calm or confusion? Do they make life lighter or heavier? Do they help you breathe easier, or do they make you feel like you're holding your breath again, waiting for the next wave of disappointment? Peace is the ability to sleep at night without replaying arguments in your head. Peace is the freedom to be yourself without walking on eggshells. Peace is knowing you're loved without having to constantly prove your worth. If someone threatens that, intentionally or not, they don't belong in your life. It's that simple, and let's be clear, protecting your peace doesn't mean you're bitter. It doesn't mean you're holding a grudge. It means you've grown wise. It means you've realized that not everyone deserves access to you just because they say they're sorry. Forgiveness can be given without reopening the door. Boundaries can be built without anger. Choosing peace isn't about punishment. It's about self-preservation. A person who truly loves you will protect your peace, not jeopardize it. They won't make you feel small. They won't keep you guessing. They won't disturb your spirit every other day. Real love adds to your life. It doesn't take from it. So when someone shows up again after causing damage, don't rush to welcome them back. Ask yourself, are they contributing to the peace I've built, or are they trying to sneak back in and borrow it? You're not responsible for healing someone who broke you. You're responsible for maintaining the healing you worked so hard for. Don't let someone's return ruin the foundation you've laid. Don't let loneliness be louder than logic. Don't let what was distract you from what is. You've come too far to go back to chaos disguised as connection. Your peace is premium. Treat it that way. Let it be your filter for every decision you make moving forward. If it doesn't bring peace, it doesn't belong, period. When someone who hurt you comes back into your life and you're tempted to give them another chance, you need to ask yourself a hard question. Has anything really changed, or is this just a rerun? Because here's the truth a lot of people don't want to face. Runs don't end different. You already know how that story went. You've seen that episode. You remember how it started out sweet, full of promises and potential, but eventually turned into confusion, pain, and tears. So, if this person is showing up with the same mindset, the same habits, the same excuses, the same lack of accountability, then you're not walking into a new chapter, you're hitting rewind. We love to believe in the idea of second chances. We love to hope that time changes people, and sure, sometimes it does, but not always, and not just because someone says they've changed. Talk is cheap. Real change is visible. You'll see it in how they move, not in what they post or what they say. And if all you're getting is recycled promises dressed up in prettier words, then what you're really getting is the same story, and you already know the ending. You see, people often come back when they think the dust has settled, when they assume you've forgotten just how bad it got. They don't always return because they want to do right by you. Sometimes they just miss the role you played in their life, the comfort, the attention, the unconditional love. But if they haven't taken the time to grow, reflect, and truly transform, then what you're looking at isn't a new beginning. It's a rerun with better lighting. The danger with reruns is that they feel familiar. They can make you feel safe, even when they're not. You already know the person, the rhythm, the dynamic, so you start convincing yourself, maybe this time will be different. But hope without evidence is just denial in disguise. You can't keep walking back into the fire expecting not to get burned. You have to stop giving people access to your life based on how much you used to love them. That love might still be there, but if their behavior hasn't evolved, then it's not going to lead anywhere new. You deserve more than recycled affection and recycled apologies. You deserve someone who shows up new, new in mindset, new in emotional maturity, new in their respect for you. Don't be afraid to admit that some stories are meant to end. That's not failure. That's wisdom. You're not weak for walking away from something that no longer serves you. In fact, it takes strength to break a cycle, especially when your heart still remembers the high points. It's easy to want to believe that someone has changed just because you want the fairy tale, but life isn't about fairy tales, it's about facts. And the fact is, if someone hasn't done the work, if they haven't healed their wounds, if they haven't acknowledged their faults, then what they're offering you is just a rerun. A familiar story that ends the same way every time, in pain, disappointment, and you questioning your worth all over again. Don't confuse a new chance with a new person, and don't confuse a rerun with a redemption story. Real redemption takes effort, sacrifice, and a deep understanding of the damage that was done. You've grown since the last time. You've done the work. You've learned how to breathe again without them. Don't undo all of that just to revisit a version of love that wasn't real, wasn't safe, or wasn't enough. You didn't come this far to start over with the same problem in a different outfit. You're not watching reruns anymore. You're writing a new script. And in this one, you choose peace, growth, and love that actually shows up. There's a powerful shift that happens when you start healing from the pain someone else caused. You begin to see yourself differently. You start to value your time, your energy, your heart. You begin to realize that you're not the same person who once tolerated behavior that broke you. And that's the point. You've outgrown the past. When someone who hurt you tries to come back, they often expect to find the same version of you waiting for them. The one who forgave easily, the one who overlooked red flags, the one who stayed quiet to keep the peace. But here's what they don't understand. That version of you doesn't live here anymore. She evolved. She healed. She woke up. Outgrowing the past doesn't mean you don't remember the love. It doesn't mean you've become cold or closed off. It means you've reached a place where your boundaries are stronger than your emotions, where your self-respect is louder than your need for closure, where your healing matters more than who hurt you. And that growth, it's sacred because it was earned in silence, in the late nights when you questioned your worth, in the days when you had to fight the urge to call them just to hear their voice, in the moments when you chose to walk away from what felt familiar but was no longer good for you. That kind of growth can't be undone by a simple apology or a few sweet words. See, the person trying to come back often hasn't changed their approach. They're just hoping you haven't changed yours. They're banking on the idea that you'll still bend, still break, still put them first. But you've grown into a woman who understands her power now. You've learned how to give to yourself what you used to beg for from others: love, validation, safety, consistency. So when they return, it's not about whether they miss you. It's about whether they can meet you where you are now. Can they rise to your new level? Can they handle the version of you that knows what she deserves? Or are they still looking to pull you back into who you used to be? You're not bitter. You're better. You're better because you faced your pain instead of hiding from it. You're better because you stopped chasing people who made you feel like you had to earn their love. You're better because you started honoring your needs instead of silencing them. That's not being selfish, that's being whole. When you outgrow the past, you stop romanticizing it. You stop replaying the highlight reel and start remembering the truth. The confusion, the lack of communication, the nights spent overthinking, the way your spirit felt heavy around them, that clarity is a gift, one that comes from growth. Don't let anyone guilt you into shrinking yourself just because they finally realized what they lost. You're not here to be who you used to be. You're here to become everything you were meant to be. And that journey forward doesn't require revisiting people who only knew the old you. So yes, he might come back. He might say he's sorry. He might say he's changed. But before you even think about going back, ask yourself, does he deserve access to who I am now? Because the woman you've become, the one who learned, who healed, who grew, she's not an afterthought. She's not someone to be rediscovered. She is the prize, and it's okay to outgrow people who had every chance to grow with you but didn't. Let them see the glow, but never forget. Not everyone gets to stand in the light with you, especially the ones who left you in the dark. Closure is one of those things we're taught to believe we need to get from someone else. We wait for the apology, the explanation, the final conversation where everything makes sense and the pain suddenly disappears. But life doesn't always work like that. People don't always give you the ending you deserve. And sometimes the most powerful kind of closure comes when you realize you don't need them to give it to you. You can give it to yourself. When someone who hurt you comes back around, it's tempting to believe this is your moment. Your chance to finally say everything you wanted to say, to hear the words you were waiting for, to finally feel like you matter. But you've got to ask yourself, is that real closure, or is it just a second chance dressed up as healing? The truth is, if someone had the opportunity to love you right the first time and they didn't, they've already told you everything you need to know. You don't need a long speech. You don't need a grand confession. You need peace. And peace doesn't come from reopening wounds. It comes from deciding that your healing no longer depends on someone else's clarity. You have to stop looking for closure in conversations that will never give it to you. Some people will never admit what they did. Some will twist the story to make themselves feel better. Some will apologize but still try to justify their actions. And others will say all the right things just to see if they still have a place in your heart. That's not closure. That's confusion. The real closure is in understanding that their inability to love you properly wasn't about your worth. It was about their capacity. It was about their wounds, their maturity, their choices. You were not too much. You were not asking for too much. You were just asking the wrong person. And once you accept that truth, you can let go. Not because they made it right, but because you finally made peace with what went wrong. You have to be strong enough to walk away without a bow tied neatly around the ending. You have to be brave enough to close the chapter yourself, even if the story didn't end the way you hoped. And yes, it's hard. It's hard to let go of something that meant so much to you. But it's even harder to keep holding on to someone who already showed you they didn't know how to hold you. Closure is choosing to stop bleeding for someone who never brought you bandages. It's deciding that your healing matters more than your history. It's waking up one day and saying, I don't need them to say sorry for me to be free. That's strength. That's growth. That's love for yourself. When he returns, he might come with tears, with regrets, with a story about how he finally sees things clearly. But you have to ask yourself, why now? Why did it take losing me to realize what I was worth? And if I allow him back in, am I doing it for closure? Or am I doing it out of fear that no one else will love me the same? Don't trade your peace for an apology. Don't sacrifice your progress for a few words you thought you needed to hear. You've come too far to go back just to understand something that already hurt you. Let your growth be your closure. Let your silence be your strength. Let your peace be the final word, because closure doesn't always come from them. Sometimes it's you standing in front of the mirror saying, I deserved better, and I'm finally ready to give that to myself. And when you do that, when you choose yourself, that's when the real healing begins. Thank you.